Arguably, the biggest change in the fundamental reorientation is going on across the Atlantic, a rethinking that has shaken the transatlantic relationship to its foundation. Let me be very clear. We want strong transatlantic ties. The US will remain Europe's partner and ally, but Europe needs to adapt to new realities. Europe is no longer Washington's primary center of gravity. The shift has been ongoing for a while. It is structural, not temporary. It means that Europe must step up. No great power in history has ever outsourced its survival and survived. These developments put a severe strain on the international norms, rules and the institutions enforcing them that we have built over 80 years. The risk of full-blown return to coercive power politics, spheres of influence and a world where might makes right is very real. Since we last spoke here, the virus has started to spread. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney hit the nail on its head in his own speech in Davos. It's time also for Europe to take down its sign, to acknowledge that this tectonic shift is here to stay and act with urgency. When I was a schoolgirl in Estonia, before anyone had mobile phones in their pocket, many schools used the bell system to tell you the time. The first bell was a signal to go to the class, the second bell was a warning, and the third bell meant that you were late and there would be consequences. We are now dangerously close to the third bell. Before that third bell actually rings, we need to inject a sense of urgency into our efforts in 4 areas. The first, and arguably most important of these, is defense. We need the capabilities to deter and defend. You all know the diagnosis. There is lack of complementarity of capabilities in Europe. We are too focused on national interest to tackle fragmentation in a serious way. Fragmentation makes us slow. It makes us weak. We need to change the culture away from thinking like nations towards acting jointly as Europeans. We must also strike the right balance between innovation and traditional systems. Warfare is evolving fast. Capabilities that are used today might be outdated tomorrow. We need to put our militaries in a position of strength. Or put simply, we must be able to win the fight tonight and be ready tomorrow. Fortunately, there is no shortage of ideas of how to address each of these, and we are already made a lot of progress. Just think white paper, the defense readiness roadmap, 9 capability targets, priorities led by the member states. But addressing the capability shortfalls also means posing some rather tricky questions. What geopolitical role do we want Europe and the EU to play? Can we identify a set of European NATO capability targets for which the EU can then support the development? Could we also think about establishing EU military capabilities that would be financed and owned by the member states? These and other sensitive subjects require political debate and action. There is a long list of areas where we are already acting, but where there is an urgent need to do more in order to reach a turning point. We need to fill our gaps first and foremost, but we also need to stand before another huge task: to support Ukraine with €60 billion in military aid for 2026 and 2027, and ensure Ukraine gets the capabilities it needs and gets them fast. For this, European industry must simply deliver. And why? Because otherwise the money will go abroad to those industries who can. This is a European moment to show what it can do. For the first time, we are using our instruments intentionally, explicitly, aimed at achieving results to support the capability targets set by NATO allies, and with that, NATO's territorial defence and deterrence. Because the point is to make the 23 members we have in common stronger. We are all well aware of the political issues that have limited cooperation, but especially now, as the US setting its sights abroad and beyond Europe, NATO needs to become more European to maintain its strength, and for that, Europe must act. For example, we need to ensure that our security and defence initiatives remain complementary to NATO. For this, the ball is also in NATO's court. If we want to use EU instruments, such as our budgetary and regulatory power, to support and enable NATO, we have to know what these needs and targets are. The more information NATO provides, the better we can align. Here, those 23 countries that are members of both organizations bear a special responsibility and have a vested interest in ensuring coherence. In short, we need to sync our efforts together with NATO so as to complement each other and to demonstrate how distinct European pillar adds to the value through more burden sharing and military strength on our continent. That is on the NATO side, but more and more our bilateral partnerships are also becoming a valuable tool, not only in the security and defence, but also in the sense of broader foreign policy issues. Countries around the globe are looking for diversifying their partnerships to manage the heightened risk. I hear this every single time I travel and meet those countries in other regions. And when they search for a strong partner, more and more they also come to the European Union. Let's face it, Europe can be slow. Anonymity means we cannot always act at the speed of relevance. Of course, there are policy differences among member states. This is all natural. But anonymity is also used by some as a bargaining tool, and it cannot be that one country's veto defines the policy for others. So we need to think about how to make our procedures more effective. We should dare to also consider the Q word, meaning a gradual extension of the qualified majority in common foreign and security policy. We should operationalize our own Article 42(7) of the Treaty of the European Union. And when it comes to our defence ministers' meetings, defence councils, they need to happen more frequently. They need to address all the issues, including the questions related to industry. We need more strategic political discussions, and for sure we need more thinking European, not only national terms. The current war has showcased drones. The next one will be about technologies we can only envision today. Collaborate closely with Ukraine. We have a lot to learn from them, their battlefield experience and innovative defence sector. Leverage cooperation with partners, be it NATO or bilaterally, and engage with broader EU defence policies. You can help bring coherence and alignment across all EU initiatives. We all know what to do, and we know that our aim is a strong and independent Europe, also in defence. If what we create now will one day be called a European Defence Union, then be it. We must strengthen our instruments, end fragmentation, close our gaps, and join forces with our partners. We are facing today a crisis that is an opportunity